That's right. We got a guest. He hosts Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend. I'm glad it's named that. It worked out perfectly right here on FanDuel TV because he happens to be named Cousin Sal, Chandler.
Yeah, love that.
Perfectly named. What's up, buddy?
What's happening with you guys? I'm happy to be on this show, and especially because I heard Chandler, boy, curses like a sailor.
He does.
And they let it go, obviously, because it's live on my show. That's not allowed.
You're not allowed?
Why. I've talked to my agent.
Why are you allowed? Seems like it'd be the same rules.
Listen, if anyone watched the roast the other day, they should know swearing and sports go hand in hand.
I'm glad you brought it up.
Last night.
You got a lot of, you got some airtime, Sal, because I was like, I know that guy. So
I did.
What was it like being in the room? Was a crazy who's who. Every time they would show a shot, I was like, okay. What was it like in the room? Was it awkward ever? Like, how did it feel?
It was great. You know, I demand. I was like, I'm not going to go there unless I get over 2.5 cutaways. You know, spanning 5 or 6 seconds. So that worked. But yeah, it was. You know, listen. I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm some of the most despicable people on the planet. Yeah. But I felt like if you were a Patriots fan, you should have been there. You should have gotten there. You should have done whatever it took because aside from the Super Bowl wins, this was the greatest night in Patriots history. Like, I feel like you got to see Tom Brady in his coolest role ever and Belichick enjoying himself and, you know, and like Gronk letting loose and barely making sense. When are you ever going to see that again? So it really was tremendous.
Well, if you see Gronk right now, you'll probably see that again. Just stop making sense.
Did you have a favorite? I mean, I think we've all talked about it a little bit, like our favorite non-athlete roaster, our favorite athlete roaster. Who was yours?
Well, I'm good friends with Jeff Ross, so he'd be very upset if I didn't say him.
True.
So I'm going to say Nikki Glaser. She was just I felt she was just an assassin. Just the way she layers, structures her jokes, and just goes right down the line and doesn't miss a beat. She's tremendous. But honestly, I don't think there were only 2 I thought didn't do well. I'll let you fill in the boat. But everyone else had like a great run. Yes, that guy.
I mean, good
He had a
Lord.
mental breakdown, it looked like. Well, in the room, did that feel... Because I'm watching it on my couch alone, and I'm just like, this feels very uncomfortable here. What did the room feel like? Was it fake laughter? What's going on? I just thought everybody felt it was going to make a turn at some point, and it didn't. He decided to use his 20 minutes to go over after some troll that nobody ever knew, and then like left. He just like took off backstage, like didn't even greet Brady afterwards. It was very strange, and I don't know what that was really. Maybe I hadn't seen a roast before. That's insane.
Who do we want to see anyone next? Like who do we want to see?
Can
next?
anyone handle it? Because I was thinking, could LeBron handle that?
No.
I think that's exactly the way to look at this. Like, I don't think he could. There's certainly various avenues you can go after LeBron for, you know, things, but I don't think he could for 2.5 hours could do it. I'm not sure. I mean, right now you got it. Yeah, I guess Kelsey would be the gold standard, right? If you can get Taylor in the room with him. But other than that, I'd love to see George. Maybe Patrick Beverly. He'd be terrific. Honestly.
My God.
Yeah.
He might go nuts.
He might fight.
He might fight. Looks. He was uncomfortable a little bit last night. He was uncomfortable a little bit as well, though. He kept drinking out of a cup he had nothing in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 2.5 hours is a long time.
Drew Bledsoe, like, take a sip of water. His mouth couldn't be more dry.
Bless his heart.
Anyway, Sal, the Monday's Pacers-Knicks games, there was a lot of bad calls, and including the illegal screen on the Miles Turner's
nope, that was a good call,
right here. You can't make that call in that situation, right?
I don't know. I'm in the minority. I say if it's a foul in the first quarter, it's a foul in the fourth quarter. But I think, and like they did review it, they said it was the right call. It's a little ticky-tack, maybe some garden, home cooking. But the one before, the kick ball was just ridiculous. The fact that you can't review a kick ball and they were out of challenges and you can't review it, the refs can't review it. Like if you inbound the ball and it hits the hot dog vendor off the forehead and the ref's like, no, that's a kick ball. Like, really, that's just going to stand? Like, that is so NBA to me. Like, really, reverse that and we have a whole different game, I think.
Yeah. Or how about when you're out of challenges, but you know that you're right on this call, you just can't review it anymore, just have to just bite the bullet.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense at all.
Got to deal with it. Sal, Jalen Brunson has absolutely taken over New York City, especially in these postseason playoffs. What's your opinion in this conversation, Jalen Brunson being the best Nick ever of all time?
Well, it sounds ridiculous because they're not an expansion team that just happened upon us 8 years ago. Knicks have been around forever. So you don't want to discredit Ewing and Willis Reed and Clyde Frazier and those guys. But what he's doing right now, he's like, first of all, on FanDuel, his over-under for points tonight is 37.5, which is outrageous for anybody. Like, this is a second-round pick. It's crazy that it's 37.5. But I feel like if you're 35 or younger, he might be the best Nick anybody's ever seen. I feel like he should win a couple more games. Even like Carmelo Anthony's like, whoa, I know you didn't like me, but I made 6 All-Stars with this team. Why am I not even listed in the top 5? So, but Brunson's well on his way. He is really just a typical Knicks, like, down and dirty type player. It's great.
I love even his entries into the state. It's just become an entire movement, this Jalen Brunson thing.
Yeah.
And part of it is also the Josh Hart of it all, it's just a lovable trio of dudes from Villanova. The podcast that those two guys do is amazing. And he plays every single minute, played every single minute the other night. I'm trying to sit here and think, like, it's almost like we've gotten used to it. Could you do 48 minutes of NBA basketball, Sal? Like, where are we looking at here?
I couldn't talk to you about basketball for 48 minutes. In fact, I'm probably going to leave meeting in about 30 seconds here. I've had enough. No, look, and it's weird because, right, if you look at the numbers, I think it was 46-3 bench points for the Pacers. But it's like, yeah, that's because the Knicks play hard and play long, and they thrive off of that. I think DiVincenzo, Brunson, and Hart were all between 44 and 48 minutes. So we've not seen anything like this. Maybe Tibbs runs them into the ground eventually, but as long as it's going, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Sal, Celtics just continue to do their thing. Easy win last night. They are now plus 135. Not to win the series, but to sweep the Cavs. Do you think there's a way that the Cavs can make this competitive, or do you think it's a sweep? Do you think they get one? What's your take on that series?
No, I think the Cavs were dumb to come back from, 18 or 21 points down from Orlando on Sunday, because this is what we're going to see, a lot of this. And I'm sorry, Michelle, I know you're wearing green for the Celtics. I know that's exactly the reason.
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay. All right. Okay. I mean, you're sending the wrong vibes then.
Yes.
But, yeah, I had them in 5 at plus 140 before the series started. I mean, these are bad matchups. They're raining threes all over him. Jalen Brown, Derek the Dagger White, as I like to call him.
That's the nickname we were looking for.
Tatum, like you guys said, not even a good game. Like 0 for 5. Like that's how scary it is. But I think there is going to be a game 3, where they go cold and, you have a potential 50-point scorer in Donovan Mitchell. So that'll be the one Cleveland steals. But I don't know. I'm not as confident that I was.
Just one game, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't. I mean, any of that yesterday. All right, Celtics minus 150. No, I really don't know why I'm wearing this color today, and that's my bad. To win it all, are you taking the Celtics for this thing, or are you taking the field?
I did have the Celtics over Denver a couple months ago. I put that in. But this is the first morning that they're minus odds to win the whole thing. They're minus 120. You get negative odds in them. So, I mean, I don't know. My analysis is basically I thought Denver was one of the toughest to knock out 4 times. We're seeing that might be different. I now think it's the Celtics are the toughest out.
It's crazy. This is all because of how Denver has looked against Minnesota.
100%.
Like, if Denver was up 2-0, those odds would not be minus 115 because people fear the Nuggets. We still see it for the Timberwolves. Crazy.
It's insane.
That's
Sal, MVP will be I got you, Chandler. No worries.
I was like, wait.
The MVP will be announced later on today. I've had SGA the entirety of this season, so I'm excited because I just want to sound like a genius, like everybody else that has opinions about sports. So, who you got in the MVP race?
Well, this is tough, right? Because we've now seen 2 or 3 weeks of playoffs, and it's tainted our, you might want to go with Luka ahead of time, and that seemed to be the odds-on favorite. But SGA, I don't see. He got votes last year. Like, I feel like people think this exists in a vacuum. Like, no, he should win MVP. Like, yeah, you got to see who people are voting for. And so if you didn't get votes last year, it's going to be tough to climb that mountain and get past the big 3, Jokic, Giannis, and Luka. So I hate that it's an in-season award. I feel like they should wait, much like college football. Let's wait till the end of the bowl season. But I'm going to give it to Luka. I'm sorry. I know you guys are going to hate me.
Wow, that's actually shocking. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think it's Jokic, then SGA, then Luka. But I agree with you. I've said that forever. Why start the voting so early when now? Because now I'm like, damn, Jokic is down 0-2. He's kind of getting exposed with how the Timberwolves are guarding him. Now SGA's been done. So it's now I think they should just wait and then that, because that's,
Right.
that's to me the
I agree.
MVP wins in the
I
playoffs.
think it just muddies the water.
But the MVP wins the
think it just
playoffs. They
muddies
get
the
to the
water a little bit.
championship.
Go
Like
ahead,
Dirk
Tim.
won the MVP, they lost first round. It doesn't make sense
Then
to
do
me.
a regular
Like,
season
yeah.
MVP and a playoff MVP.
Yeah,
and then
I
you
think
have
you
the finals
just
MVP.
delay
Listen,
it.
here's
Just delay
my
it.
Here's my concern about that. What happens if you got a guy that's in like that 3 or 4 spot that's on the bubble, that's having a really good season, and he just catches absolute fire the first 2 weeks of the playoffs? Like, then what?
Yeah.
Like, where do we go from there? Then the water's muddied a little bit, and it gets a little confusing. That's my only concern with it. Other than that, I would like for it to go throughout the postseason, but it's going to be some guys on that bubble that's going to make that gray area a little weird.
Yeah, right now it's kind of insane to call it. All right, 6 seasons with
Well,
the
listen,
Lakers.
we could go back and forth. I'm sorry, but really, the in-season tournament MVP is all that matters.
That's-
And should we wait till the middle of the playoffs to give that award yet? Then it gets crazy. Then
I'm
who's
glad
right?
you brought that up, Sal, because I do have a Lakers question for you.
Oh.
6th season with the team. LeBron, this has got a title, lost in the first round a couple times, missed the playoffs a couple times. He's got that player option. We're all trying to figure out, is he leaving? Is he staying? Will he retire? What do you think's about to happen?
Well, I think what's about to happen is our summer is going to be ruined. I hope
Thank
the
you.
three of you don't have any kind of plans because LeBron is going to hold us hostage with this announcement like he has before. I mean, he's going to purchase a Metro card and everyone's going to be like, oh, he's going to go to the Nets. And he'll be palling around with Kid Rock. He's like, oh, he's a Piston. Or if he visits Mount
dear.
Rushmore with the children, he's starting an expansion team in South Dakota. And Shams is going to report on all this. And it's not going to be his fault because this is what LeBron does. But ultimately, I think he stays with the Lakers. By the way, Michelle, you're a big wrestling fan. Shouldn't it be like a gender reveal, but with jerseys? Let's just have a
Yes.
battle royal with
Yes.
NBA jerseys, and whoever wins, that's how he does it.
Something
and
fun.
it'll be August 1st or something, whatever.
August 1st.
Or a possible
Yeah, I
live
know.
television broadcast and take his talents to South Beach
Oh,
again.
that's true, and give it all to charity.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
could be,
That's right.
That would work too. With the Darvingham firing, obviously we're just all trying to figure out who's the next sucker to walk on down. But could also do something funny here. So in your mind, who would be the funniest hire as the next Lakers coach?
The funniest hire, and by the way, I'm only like 30% kidding here when I say they should make Bronny the head coach. Bronny James should be the head coach because, listen, let's face it, good enough kid, right? He's not a pro. He averaged 5 points a game. I saw him a couple times. I went and saw him live at USC. Let's see
good.
how much power LeBron actually wields. Put his son in right at the head coach spot. I mean, he'll get as much or as little playing time as he wants. Maybe a player coach hark into the old days. So that's my pick.
Youngest coach in the league.
Someone said that
Yeah.
like a good to the Nuggets, the Celtics should draft Brody and then not sign LeBron.
Right.
Just to really power play him.
Just be an ass.
Exactly. That's
that'd
how you
be-
build some heat. Yeah.
So I got my own take on this, Sal. But yesterday, Austin Rivers, he says that he could take 30 NBA players, throw them in the NFL, but you can't take 30 NFL players and throw them in the NBA. What's your
Right.
take on that? Because I'll give you mine afterwards.
My take, I think, is that football gets unfairly blamed for having the bulk of the CTE at a spot. I mean, that's a crazy. I'm sorry, Lou. I don't know if you feel differently, but 30 players. Well, first of all, it's not right because it's a 53-man roster. So just by numbers, it would make sense that an NBA player would make it in the NFL versus the other way. But what position are they playing? Honestly, I think they would mostly get lit up. I really feel like, we saw like Charlie Ward do it, right, as a point guard for Nick. It would have to be that 6'4" to 6'6" type player because I think anything else would require them to be working on either of the lines, and they would just get demolished. So 30, I'd love to hear his 30. That's an outrageous
Yeah,
summation.
my thing is, first of all,
Chandler's obsessed.
Me personally, I would never. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't, the contact.
Wait, tell him your reason.
The
second
contact,
one.
the physicality,
No.
playing
The
out.
weather.
The weather. Like, I don't want to play in Lambeau when it's fucking negative 10 degrees. No chance in hell I can do it. Now, I think the discrepancy and the skill that it takes to play basketball, the handling, the dribbling,
Grace.
the step back, the shooting, the touch, that skill is way far ahead of the difference of the toughness and the competitiveness. Now, do I think NBA players are flop and can be soft and are injured all the time? Yes. And can they make it in the NFL probably for one game? Probably
A
not.
game.
But all I'm saying is I watched my boy Puka Nacua play in the All-Star weekend. His talent is so far below what it takes, and he's the best. Him and CJ and Micah, those are the best football players that they can play in the NBA. They can't. I don't know if Anthony Edwards could be a corner. I don't know if Zion can play, but I know that they can catch and run and do things physically that NFL players cannot do in the NBA. So
I'm with you. Yeah. I mean, listen, Russell Westbrook would definitely, if he from grade school on was molded to be a football player, he would be fantastic for sure. But I don't even, and I appreciate the breakdown of the athleticism between sports, and then you see like a Zach Edey try to throw a baseball, and it's like, I don't know, forget it. I don't know what I'm watching. If there was a lefty in the box, he would miss getting hit by 11 feet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think baseball hitting like a 95-mile-an-hour slider to me would be harder than like Draymond Green being a tight end in the NFL. I think he can run, catch, and, you know, I mean, that is harder to me.
Yeah, we just poop on baseball just without even mentioning it. That's
oh my God, I can barely hit a golf ball on a tee. So it's not moving.
No, you're special. We got a little Convince Me playoff edition, Sal. I'm going to give you 3 scenarios here. First up, convince me in the playoffs that we should not have any fouls called in overtime.
Oh, wow. That's great. No fouls in overtime. All right. I think it's terrific. Again, if you're into the pugilistic sports, UFC, WWE, boxing, I think you would just have bench players once you got to overtime, like Dennis Rodman, just send them out to maul their opponents for 5 minutes. And then maybe you get 2 points, you win 2-0, the overtime period out of it. So I don't know. Did I do a good job? I'm not sure.
I like it.
This would just,
and you use pugilistic, which we don't have good words.
This would just end in fights, which I guess would be entertaining for fans.
Mitchell Robinson,
I'm not allowed to
Jordan.
say pugilistic on my show. They would bleep it.
You think me and Lou know what pugilistic means? You got another thing coming.
It's like looking down, trying to figure out what it means.
You used it the right way, so I use context clues.
There, you got it. You got the joke. All right, Sal, convince me that top seed, I actually like this one. Top seeds in each conference should be able to pick their playoff opponent.
Ooh, I love this. So you're saying like the GM or the coach gets involved?
Yeah.
I fought for this in football too. And then, you would avoid probably the nonsensical jockeying for position where Cleveland starts guys who look like me in game 82 and tanks it to the Hornets for whatever reason. But I feel like this is more exciting than it would actually turn out to be. I think like the Belichicks of the world would actually pick their opponent, but nobody else would want bulletin board material. So if the 1 seed would just say whoever's 8, we're going for
That's
it.
a
But also
fair point,
it would picture like this year the Eastern Conference, the Celtics, they had to play the Heat or the Sixers that are really good that were just hurt all year long. So wouldn't they rather just pick like, all right, give me the Hawks instead? You should be rewarded. I actually kind of like this.
Well, because didn't Paul Reed say we wanted the Knicks, and then
that didn't age.
That didn't work out very well.
On this show, actually, he said that.
Yeah, he did say it on this show. Actually, good point.
No.
It was perfect. Convince me that the winning team in every series, this is just crazy, should be able to take one player from the losing team as they move on.
I love this. This is great. I'm in a fantasy football league where this is I think it's called a guillotine league, where whoever, it's top points and whoever has the fewest points in a given week, they lose their roster. So it's a fair game. Everybody else who's still left can get that. I love this idea. Let's do it.
It'd be hard, but I like it.
I don't know how to convince you.
By the time it get to the finals, it'd basically be an all-star game.
Yeah.
You'd also imagine if like you knock off Charlotte, you're like, nah, I don't want anybody on that team. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can take a LaMelo car.
We'll take the assistant coach, that guy over there.
Nice.
Yeah. How funny would that be?
I kind of love it. All right, it's called Winning Weekend. Cousin Sal right here on FanDuel TV. Sal, we appreciate the time. Next time, we'll get you in studio.